Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to be doing my ultimate customized palettes. So before I go ahead and explain what that means and what that is, if you guys want to see a makeup tutorial on this look, let me know down below and I will have that up probably sometime during this week as well. But what that pretty much means is I got a super huge jumbo Z palette. I'm going to turn around to the back so that way you don't can't even speak. You guys won't see the glare. But so what that means is I got two extra large Z palettes and I filled them with my favorite cool tone shadows, which looks like this without the glare, and my favorite warm tone shadows, which looks like this. So before I did this, I just had them separated by eyeshadows, so that way when I grabbed the shadow or I used the shadow, it made it easy to know what brand it was because I knew the palette. So now these eyeshadows are mixed up. So there's Makeup Geek, there's Coastal Scents, there's Morphe, there's Anastasia Beverly Hills, but it's majority Makeup Geek because Makeup Geek did send me a couple of packages. One they sent last year and another one, the first package was about 2 years ago. So I have majority Makeup Geek eyeshadows, but amongst like other shadows that I bought myself. Also a couple of MAC shadows. So I know you guys are probably more interested in what I have in this warm tone palette because this is like literally the ultimate eyeshadow palette, especially for fall, since fall is coming up. So this palette here is pretty much all of my neutral, warm, kind of like maroon and browns and blacks. That's pretty much what it is. I'm going to put it right in front so you guys get a overview. So in this first row, I have a bunch of lighter, like some paler whites or creams and rose golds, and that's that first row. That is a mix of Anastasia Beverly Hills and Morphe, or Makeup Geek shadows. On the second row, I have more of my golden shades, golden into the more like bronzy, copper, magenta, kind of like maroony colors. That is this second row, and a lot of the ones that you see that look more like this, they're more of the foiled shadows. And what I mean by the foiled shadows are they look and they swipe or swatch so pigmented. They're just super pigmented and they go on a little bit more wet than a normal eyeshadow would. So you saw that swatch. Now I'm going to swatch this Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow, and don't get me wrong, they're still as pigmented and as creamy, but they're not as foiled. So that is kind of the difference. It's still kind of a little bit more wet, but it's not technically a foiled eyeshadow. So moving down, so the first two rows are more of my shimmers. I wanted to keep a majority of the shimmers in the same two rows, so that way if I had any fallout or anything like that, I would be able to, you know, it would be amongst other shimmers. So as you move a little bit lower, you get to the matte shades. So here on down, the bottom three rows are more of my matte shades. So I start off with, like, I think this is soft brown. Or no, this one's soft brown, and this is burnt orange from Anastasia Beverly Hills. So it starts like more of a pale, and then it gets a little bit darker. There's Harvest Brown by Coastal Scents, and I have some more of my Makeup Geek shadows in here, and then another Anastasia Beverly Hills, that's the shade Sienna. So it gets into that more like orangey kind of shade. And then you move down to the bottom row, and then you have Cocoa Bear, which is still in that orangey shade, and that moves to more of the maroons right here in the deep berry colors. So you have Bitten and Americano and, oh, what's this shade? Oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank? Americano was the darker one, and oh, Cherry Cola. Cherry Cola. So you have Cherry Cola, and then this is an Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow, and I don't use it too much, Deep Plum. So you have Deep Plum and then Americano, and then this is the shade that I have on my lid right now, and it is so gorgeous. I didn't even realize I had it in my collection until I was going, like, mixing these shades together and swatching them, and this is Steampunk. Oh my gosh, isn't it gorgeous? Like, it's just, oh my gosh, it's kind of like a maroon, but it has some of that reddish tinge. Oh my gosh, like, I don't know. It's really, really, really pretty. Nonetheless, once you move down a little bit lower, I still have some maroons, and then you get into my browns. So I have, this is, oh my gosh, it's a Makeup Geek eyeshadow, and I'm drawing a blank. Mocha So you got Mocha, Deep Roast, Soft Brown, or Deep Brown, and you have some more Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadows right here, and then Corrupt, which is in the corner. So that is this palette. It's pretty much just a warm palette. Something that I know I can grab and take with me wherever I go, if I go on vacation or if I go out of the state or whatever it may be. I know I can grab this palette, take it, and be able to create so many different looks because there's still, although it's a more warm palette, there's so many different eyeshadows in it. I can do a rose gold look, I can do a berry look, I can do a copper look, I can do a gold look, and I can do a matte brown look. You could do so many looks with just customizing these palettes. And I know you guys, this palette is not so affordable that just anybody can afford it. Like, these eyeshadows, as I mentioned, were majority gifted to me by Makeup Geek, so thank you so much, Makeup Geek. But also with the Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadows, they are about $12, so I do have to buy them in increments if I do buy them. But since they're so expensive, I kind of stray away from them unless I have a little bit of extra cash. And then the other shades are, like I mentioned, some Coastal Scents, which are about 99 cents, and Makeup Geek being about $6. So not so affordable, but if you want any of these shades, I mean, if I were to purchase anything, I would have purchased the Makeup Geek eyeshadows because they're smack dab in the middle of Anastasia Beverly Hills and Coastal Scents, and I love my Coastal Scents eyeshadows. I have no problem blending them. I've been using them for the last 6 years that I've pretty much been doing makeup as a freelance and also on myself, but they're not the most pigmented, if you know what I mean, and the most easy to blend. I mean, they're easy to blend when you're like learning to become a beginner, but once you kind of get your little niche and start moving and start going with your career, you'll learn that some eyeshadows blend a lot better than other eyeshadows. So you get your bang for your buck for the Makeup Geek eyeshadows, plus they have so many different colors and so many different varieties. I will try to list down every single eyeshadow that I have in this palette. I will write them down and then try to type them in the bottom. That way you guys know some of the shadows and you can look them up for yourselves if you want to. So the next palette is definitely one of my least reached for palettes unless I'm doing a specific kind of purple or green look. I'm more of a warm girl, just me being a warm tone woman in general. I just love my warm tone palettes. So this palette here is, as you can see, lots of purples and greens, and then I have my cool tone browns up at the top. Most of the cool tone browns up at the top are Makeup Geek eyeshadows. Makeup Geek has the biggest array of eyeshadows that I've ever seen. Like, they have cool tone, they have warm tone, they have foiled eyeshadows, they have matte eyeshadows, they have just regular shimmer eyeshadows, they have duochrome eyeshadows, they have just everything you can think of. So I didn't mention any of the duochromes in this palette, but I have a few in this palette. So the top row, I have some of my lighter kind of shimmery shades. Let me put it up front. I have some of my lighter shimmery kind of shades, like this kind of like a palish shade, and then you get to the cooler tone browns in the middle, and then a little bit more of that kind of like a dusty rose kind of color, I guess you could say, at the end. And then once you get down to the second row, you have more of those pale pinks, and then a cool tone kind of like purpley shade, and then you get into the purples. Now this one I didn't I didn't put them in more so shimmers and mattes. I put them more so with the color family. So on this third row, you have a lot of purples. This one here is a Makeup Geek duochrome, so it looks kind of blue, but it also looks a little purple. I'm going to swatch it on my wrist right here. So it's kind of like that bluish purplish. And then you get into some more Coastal Scents. So these are more Coastal Scents eyeshadows. I love this eyeshadow. They're a little bit more drier when it comes to a formula of matte eyeshadows, but they still do the job, like I mentioned. Then you have more Coastal Scents Hot Pots down here, which I went on a rampage when they have their 99-cent Hot Pot sales, because the eyeshadows are good, and they're 99 cents. So you can get, oh my gosh, you can get 20 eyeshadows for $20 and then get a couple brushes, and your total is at $40 and you got brushes and eyeshadows. Like, it's just a steal. Like, I love it. So moving down below the purples, you have more purples. These are more of the foiled eyeshadows by Makeup Geek. Then I have another matte eyeshadow by Makeup Geek, and then I get into more foiled eyeshadows. This one It's the one that I just used in a recent makeup tutorial. It's that kind of steel blue kind of shade, and then you get into other teals. And then the greens down at the bottom. The greens are just, the bottom half of this palette just catches my eye, just draws my eye. You have your olive greens, then you have a more duochrome green. This is a brown and a green, and it looks like this. It's more of like skin tony on me. And then you have your regular olive green matte eyeshadows here, and then some more of the deep forest green. So the difference between these two palettes are just like like I said, these are the same mixes of eyeshadows between Anastasia Beverly Hills. I have a couple MAC eyeshadows in here, Coastal Scents, and Makeup Geek. So the difference is just one is cool tone and one is more warm. But with this eyeshadow palette, I wouldn't travel with this because I'm not always looking to create a like purple smoky eye. This look that I have on my eye, I created using that one warm tone eyeshadow palette. I didn't dabble in anything else. I didn't have to have multiple palettes. I just had that palette. This one, however, I would have to take a green and then dabble into the warm palette because I would need the browns and the blacks and the warm transition shade. Like, this is more of an accent palette than it is a complete palette on its own. So nonetheless, they're still really pretty. I want to show you guys them side by side so you guys can kind of see the difference. Well, I'm sure you know the difference, but there you have it. Aren't they gorgeous, you guys? Like, so gorgeous. Oh. You have your warm tone and your cool tone. So pretty. And like I mentioned, I'm going to try to list all these eyeshadows down below. If I can't get to that, I'm going to try to do it, you guys. I'm just going to try to do it because I want you guys to know the eyeshadows that I have. But that pretty much wraps up my 2 jumbo extra large Z palettes. I will have those linked down below as well, just because I know some people are interested in where you can get a jumbo Z palette. I get them off of, or I got them from the boutique that I worked from. But MakeupGeek.com also has some of the Z palettes on their website. Well, at least they did back when I was shopping for Makeup Geek eyeshadows. I'm not sure what they do now. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Also, let me know what else you guys would like to see. If you guys want to see like my top 5 ultimate eyeshadow palettes that are... Alright, so I want y'all to know that I can never be great. My camera is always overheating on me. So I don't remember what I was saying at the end of this video, but that wraps up this video. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see my top 5 favorite eyeshadow palettes, I think that's what I was saying before it cut off on me, please let me know, like my top, like do or die, must have ultimate eyeshadow palettes. Let me know. I am about to start a new series. It's going to be the top 5, like Lonyea top 5s. If you guys have any like top 5s of mine that you guys would like to see, also let me know down below. And then yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got. Stay tuned for this makeup look. It will be up fairly soon. And I love you guys and I'll see you soon. Mwah. Bye. Time for dinner. I'm hungry.